I'm Amy, sex educator, sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax,
And enjoy the show. Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Hello, everyone.
Hiya, folks.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Podcast, episode number 142. I know.
There
I
you
know the
go.
numbers now.
And
This
I
is
feel
amazing.
like this person is pretty much the triad for our show.
So-
She should just say hi right away. Like you.
Hi.
Kristen's
142.
back.
142. Special number 142.
We have Melissa Fritchley last week, who was actually, it was her third time on our show. This is your third time, right?
Yes.
Oh, so you're the only guest. You two
You and
now
Melissa, yeah.
are the only guests.
Oh, so I have to do one immediately after this
Yes.
so I could be your
You want to beat her.
main
Are you
partner.
competitive,
Yeah.
Kristen?
Yes, very
Okay.
competitive.
All right.
Have you ever played pool with this bitch, dude? Dude, she's ferocious.
All right.
Well, all sorts of things.
She knows her stuff. I've always enjoyed your perspective on the show. You bring in some, you're a sex educator,
Yes.
and you work for Fun Factory.
Yes.
Yes. And
How long have you
around.
been in the adult toy industry or the adult industry in general? It's like
I think it's been almost
15
going on
years?
14 years.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been in, before that, I was a stylist for Queer Style, which was my company, and working within the realm of like gender and sexuality. So, you know, and also I was just always slutting around, loving it, and very positive about it.
wait, you had a boudoir troupe, like a dance
burlesque troupe.
burlesque troupe.
Yeah.
What boudoir and burlesque.
Yeah,
are
it was a
little
political
different.
burlesque troupe. So I've been doing this work for a long time, and I imagine as you two probably have been, like I was always the friend that you would just talk about sex with.
yeah, the go-to resource.
Yeah.
I've talked
Yeah.
about sex with you so many times, like asking you for advice through the years. Because we were work
man,
wives
I
forever.
know,
We were on the
I
road.
know.
Long
Shared
time.
lots of
You were on my journey when I was on my sexcapades when I was a divorcee, newly.
Yeah, your
divorced.
year of anal, your
Year
year
of
of anal
anal
licking.
licking,
Yeah.
With that DJ, remember? And you were like, what? We
It warms my
she just
heart,
told that
yeah.
story. Yeah.
The DJ that licked your ass?
Yes. Right away before any other interaction.
After dancing all night.
Wait, so
Yeah.
it's not even a make-out?
No, not really.
Just right in
it
the
like
ass.
went pretty much straight there.
Very
All
German.
right.
Very German.
The year of anal, yeah, that was the year that I had that offer too. We talked about this on the podcast. I had the same offer from someone. Maybe it was the same
Which
guy.
we talked about that after, and you're like, really? That
yeah,
must be a
same
German thing.
No
I'm like,
kissing
oh
is
my
like,
God.
I want to lick your ass. I'm like, that's a terrible German accent.
Maybe
Really
there's
fucking
some
kidding me?
German.
Yeah.
We could get some insight from some folks that live in Germany out there if they're listening. Is that like maybe that's the norm, or that's how you say hello?
It's probably not appropriate for me to ask my colleagues in Germany,
No.
but I could.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Did you all lick ass before you make
Yes,
out?
is that the first step?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like when the making out leaves the relationship, they're still licking ass. Probably.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I know. Well, I think that's really how you get to know someone deeply.
I feel like a robot with the way I'm wearing this microphone.
know.
I have a neck brace on, so and I mean you all can't tell, but if I sound weird, I'm wearing a
Well, you
the
look
headphones
great.
usually. So I have an announcement, everyone.
Ooh.
Today is April's anal anniversary.
Oh, today is it?
Yes, today is your anal anniversary.
You were waiting for that one.
I
weren't
was.
you? She
the
was.
day this podcast goes out is actually like 5 days after your anal. No,
January
a week,
14th. I lost
yeah, a
it
week
like,
after your
2 years ago.
Yeah, so happy anniversary, April.
Wow,
We're
January
so-
14th.
Like PIA, you mean? Like penis
Yeah, in ass.
Not even, like, you would never consider a finger part of your...
I never really had, like, I shouldn't say
You went
never.
straight from no fingers to a cup
To a
in your
dick?
ass?
So it was a slow burn. It was like a trial error sort of situation. And it was the first situation where it was full, not only full penetration, but full orgasm as well. So ejaculate in the ass too.
You had a jack in the ass? Oh, yeah, we talked about this.
Oh,
That's like the one
wow.
thing that I will not, I mean, I've
I
had
don't
that
mind.
twice and it never goes well for my ass. It's always like, it disturbs my stomach. Like it becomes a whole issue.
It's disturbing.
It's disturbed.
I
yeah.
don't mind. It never affected my stomach.
Maybe it's like the angle of my bowels or something, but it hangs out for a while. It gets all weird. It just gets weird.
I do get a lot of gases though, where I'm like, that's embarrassing.
I actually never let it happen because I want to let you know I had a friend tell me that probably the person that's the most sexual person course, I've ever met, say she loves when people come in her ass. And then she would tell me, well, sometimes you might have gas the next day and you get a little like a cum bubble.
Oh, cum bubble.
And I was like, that's enough for me to know that I don't want that
It's
anymore.
true. There's some weird things that happen
so-
afterward. I can talk about it now because I do have regular anal sex now. Wow, my anniversary. Did you get me any presents?
I
for my
did. I
anniversary?
got you a new dog.
Really?
Yeah.
But I like my old dog.
I got. We'll figure it out. I got you something. There's a big dildo on the table. You can have. It's actually not a big one.
We're taking you out tonight.
Yeah,
doing
we're taking you out
anal-themed
tonight for
dinner.
anniversary. If you want some Uber lube, only the best lube in the world. I have.
True.
plenty of that.
I do use that is my anal go-to lube though.
It's good actually. It's great for an anniversary.
And it's so classy.
It's super classy.
Ass
Yeah.
classy.
It
Yeah.
is.
Ass classy. Yeah, but only Uber
But
lube
it was funny because right before my partner's in Japan right now as we're recording this, right before he left, we did do a whole anal session, and the Uber lube, because it's in the nightstand next to the bed, so he grabs it and I don't look. I was like, okay, yeah, and then he's like pumping and pumping, and it's
Like
out,
directly on your
and
skin?
then we like went to the other drawer and we grabbed another bottle and it was almost out. He's like, it's like, God, you're like, you give Uber lube out like it's fucking water and we don't even have any full bottles here. What the fuck? I was like, so I had to go to like the stash of like, because I do give it to friends and family and
the new
grandma.
bottles.
So there was, I had to go grab a new bottle and
That
it was
happened
just
at my house too.
so funny.
It was like
though.
I had like this, like barely anything in there, and
it was really,
yeah.
it was comical.
So anyways, congratulations on your anniversary. I have two other announcements. One, we have a survey on our website. If you listen to 2 podcasts ago, we talked about this survey. It is just a couple questions. We want to know who you are. It's anonymous, but who you are, what episodes you want to listen to, any feedback on how we could do better. We also love praise. It's quick. It's anonymous. Just go on our website to shamelesssex.com. And
Someone
if you scroll
said, wait,
down,
what'd they say today about our intro? Or
they said that our intro, we need to change
Makes
it.
them
Makes them
cringe?
cringe, which I don't know about the cringe part, but I agree. It's time for a change. So yes, we got that.
this is the true story of 2 strangers. Is that it? No, I'm just kidding. Trying to live in a house. Remember the Real World?
Yes, but I actually have been deep diving into the pleasure podcast world.
Oh yeah, there's so many good ones.
to for our fun conversation tonight and talk more about it. And it's funny because I have listened to your podcast now a lot, and I could tell you what your intro is.
Yeah, you know.
I'm April, and I'm a sex toy mogul. I love it.
Amy
It's
wrote
fun.
that part
I wrote
for
that
me.
for her. She
I
didn't
was
claim
like,
that first off. I'm like, we're gonna call you a sex toy
yeah.
mogul.
I was like, really, sex toy mogul? She's like, just own it. It's true.
Kind of, we don't have time. We got voted Woman of the Year, and you kind of do big things for companies. So I don't know. Sex toy mogul seems very fitting.
Chill.
We'll make some alterations for
Okay.
it. Don't mind me in my neck.
So I'm gonna
brace
be.
as I look around.
What's gonna be the new?
I'm April, and
tagline.
it's my anal anniversary, and I love cum in my ass. Take me seriously.
And I love anal licking. Yeah.
The year of anal licking. Okay, so this is a survey. Another announcement is a personal one because this is going out next week. If you don't have Valentine's Day plans and you live in the Bay Area or near or in Santa Cruz, I'm teaching a workshop. It's a Tantra in Motion workshop, which is like a combination of contact improv, a type of dance that you don't need to have any skills in, and Tantra. It's for partners, lovers, couples on Valentine's Day. If you want to have a Valentine's Day that's not just like, eating at a crowded restaurant, then come join. I'm teaching with Daniel Molnar, and to learn more, go to Daniel Molnar, there's 2 L's in there.com to sign up. I think it usually sells out.
How do you spell Molnar?
Mollner.
See, I would have done a U, so that's good.
Oh, I'm glad we talked about this.
Yeah.
Good question. So this episode, we love to bring Kristen on here and answer your sex questions because she's fucking fabulous at answering sex questions. You always bring in, it's not just like the sex educator thing. You're always like, how can we make this fun? How can we find the new ways to make this more erotic and playful and fun? So it's always really fun to have you here, and we love spending time together.
Whenever we're in LA, we're like, please, Kristen, please.
I love, we hang out often outside of this, which is great. And I love our late night conversations around sex so much. And oftentimes, the last time we had a really vibrant conversation, we decided to take the mics out to try to capture it, and it fucking failed.
Yeah.
Woohoo, that failed.
Well, we heard you were like, we cannot publicize.
It was
any
probably
of
3
this.
a.m. though, as well, in Germany.
3
So
a.m.
we're all
in
jet
Germany,
lagged.
jet lagged, and then spilling all the beans. And
Yeah.
there was another human there that was spilling some beans. We're like, we can't expose your
Right.
beans.
Yeah.
It was almost a therapy. I thought it felt like an open therapy session for many of us. And I think that it was necessary and probably won't use the content It was good though.
But
fun.
in general, I feel that what I love about shameless sex is that it takes that oftentimes it captures that thing that a lot of people don't have, where you get to sit around with your friends and talk in a really authentic way, and you could laugh, you can cry, you could give real true information, but also just be like human and not like robotic around it, because so much sex education can be a little
dry,
like not sexy,
clinical, totally. Yeah, we want to add a little the fun, the sex appeal, but also authentic, not just like spice things up and give a show. There's an intention there. We want it to educate people and
my
inspire
partner's
people.
oldest daughter, who is 25, she said something to me over the Christmas break, because she was back home. She lives in San Diego, and she said we were talking about someone thinking that I was in porn, and which Amy has also received from time to time. And she said, and I just told them, no, she's normalizing the conversations around sex. We all need that. And I thought that was so beautiful, because it sounds, I guess, less involved when I'm like, we're doing all of these exploring sex and relationships, and we're talking to these amazing authors and people from all over the world that have changed the world through talking about sex and intimacy. But really, we're just normalizing the conversations around sex and making it okay to be who you are.
Yeah. And on a spiritual level, I think I really truly believe I'm here, and I'm sure the reason why we're all here together is to spread this like sex positivity. And I don't even want to say sex positivity, because it's now becoming a word that is as vibrant as I want it to be, but it is this like, come sit with us, be friends, let's talk about you, talk about where you're at. So let's we should talk about
let's talk about sex.
Yes,
that's what you were going with, right?
I tried not to
Color Me Blind.
All the good things.
Was that what it was?
That's Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper. There was a show, Color Me Blind, though. Wasn't that the
Color Me Bad?
Color Me Bad? Damn it! See,
I'm the oldest one in the room.
Yes.
Yep.
Fail.
Chip failed.
I've been drinking wine.
1 Kristen, 0 Chip. Okay, so question numero uno. A lot of these questions are the dynamic. There's some stuff about kink, fetish, demisexual, confidence in the bedroom of sexual being, menstrual cups, etc. So the first question. I'm hoping you can help me work through a situation I've been fighting for years now. I'm a straight man who's been married for 11 years, and it's been a great marriage except for one nagging thing. Ever since middle school, I've carried shame over having a particularly strong cum and oral fetish. I find it intensely erotic to think about lapping up my wife's dripping wet pussy. Even better if it's filled with cum. I'm looking at Kristen because she doesn't love cum.
I hate jizz. Sorry. That's why I was, again, that's why I became a lesbian.
Yes.
Probably because of the jizz.
She's like, jizz, I'm out, I'm done. Okay, and the thought of swapping, even better to cum. And the thought of swapping cum with her after a blowjob or of licking cum off her body gets me aroused instantly. The problem is I've brought this fetish up with her from time to time, and it's always met with a disapproving look. The thought of my own wife being disgusted with my fetish really kills my sex drive. It makes me feel somewhat resentful. Some resentment toward her. Lately, it's to the point that sometimes I would rather masturbate to the fantasy than to initiate sex with her. I've never tried to sit down with her for an actual discussion because I'm afraid that her disapproval will trigger me to shut down and get me angry. Do you have any advice on how to work past this? Obviously, I don't want to coerce her into something she's not comfortable with, but it's becoming obvious that this is a serious hurdle in our sex life. Jizz. Well, I mean, I guess
I'm pro jizz. I don't want to say I'm not pro jizz. Yeah. I am pro jizz. I just don't like them in my orifices.
Yeah,
in your mouth or
your ass,
or just
on
in your vag.
It
kind of drips out throughout the next few hours. That kind of stuff is not as fun. But like onto my tits is fine. Or it has been fine.
You were the one that helped me advocate for that when I was hooking up with dudes. You're like, just have them come on your tits. I was like, just a great idea.
Yeah. Well, make a whole thing out of it.
Yeah.
And are you a germaphobe, Kristen?
No. Okay. I just don't like the cleanup afterwards, and it changes my pH balance, and into my mouth is not just the whole swallowing of it. Not a fan. Your jam. Just not a fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. If somebody came to me and said like it is a fantasy, it's my partner of many years, I think I could probably do it from time to time, even though I'm not super into it.
Yeah,
that's what you do for the ones you love.
And it's a person. You drink jizz. I mean, it's a personal preference thing, though. April still doesn't drink jizz. She doesn't allow it in her mouth. Never has. Never
you don't allow it in your mouth.
She says, "Do not come in my mouth."
I've had cum in my mouth one time.
What'd you do with
it? Spit it out right after it was in there, and then I said, "Hey, let's not do that again."
I don't mind it in my mouth, but it has to come out immediately.
It has to come out.
Immediately.
There's no way I could swallow it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've swallowed a lot of cum in my day, but I don't mind. I also don't mind like cum dripping out of my pussy. But I also, I see what you say. It changes the pH. Like if I have cum in my pussy and I don't let it come out, the next day I can have a yeast infection. You can change the pH if it hangs out in there. Obviously, we talked about not having cum in the ass. This person though, they said it doesn't sound like it's just their cum, although they have a strong attraction to their own cum in their mouth, licking it off of their partner, even swapping mouth to mouth. They also like their wife stripping pussies. So there's all these different things. But so the main part of the question is, there's shame here from the partner. It's not feeling good. They don't want to coerce them and pressure them, but it's a thing. It doesn't sound like it's a fetish that they absolutely have to have. They're calling it a fetish here, but. They call it a fetish? I think they did. Maybe not. But at any rate, what is your advice on how they can go about this?
I mean, it's so funny. My favorite friend that I like to talk about, her and her husband used to go find people to have sex with, and his favorite thing to do was lick the jizz of another man off of his wife. Like he really enjoyed it. Yeah. And or she would get to go out and have sex and then come back and he'd have to find where it is.
Where's the jizz?
Yeah. Like where's the like, kind of fun. For people that are into that. For me, that's would not be fun. But I think in general with this one, I mean, this is all so much about communication. So it's not even about like anything really extreme, in that way. It's just really about, it sounds like this person was here, I would want to dig deeper. Like, what else is going on? Because it can't just be this. Yeah. If the communication stops here, it has to be more than that, Like, but in general, I think there are workarounds around that is to, like a yes, no, maybe list. Obviously, those are really fun to do. So there's not take the pressure off the one thing you're asking for by making sure it's included in a list of things. So it's not about like, oh, you just want to have jizz all over me and watch it coming out of me and licking me, but more about like it's part of a menu of items. So let's explore a lot of them without having the pressure of the one thing. But honestly, I feel like this is not that abnormal. I wouldn't even call it a fetish. It's like a preference. Yeah. Like, does April like to have jizz in her mouth? No. Does some people want to lick their jizz off April's mouth? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, probably a lot of people. Actually,
a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, everyone send us an email if you want. Just kidding. We're not. It's not happening. I mean, it's preference.
My
it
social
totally
security
is.
number and what we're giving out that right. 555.
Yeah, 5555, and you can find her at 555. Preference also would be like period sex, right? Like some people are really into it. Some people find it absolutely disgusting and disturbing. They don't want. It's just these are all preferences, and we're talking about body fluids here. And some people are comfortable with it on certain parts of their bodies, and some people don't want anything to do with it. And to each their own. And like you said, it's coming up with a list of what is available and what's not, like what's in the middle ground that too of how you can meet each other, but. It's like it's all negotiation.
And it also helps with if you aren't comfortable having the discussion, you can kind of make the list and hand them the list instead of having to, because perhaps it's difficult for them to actually voice how they feel. Or
you send them a text and then they text you back and you never talk about it.
Or you write it out nicely on a card. Yeah. This is my preference.
Ooh, like
list.
a sexy invitation.
Yeah.
And you have like a real invitation made
totally.
And like a unwrap. But my question would be, is the wife, it's a wife, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is the person adverse to this because of like cleanliness? Because for me, jizz is about that there's too much cleanup and there's too much aftercare to my vulva and vagina. It's just too much. I'm like, do I really have to do all this work now? Yeah. And
what if they're eating? They're lapping it up for you. You don't have any work to do.
I know exactly.
They cleaned it up like a Hoover.
Or is it about? Which I kind of think for some straight women, it's about thinking, is my man gay?
And
why does he want
I deleted
that?
this part. He did say that he used to think that maybe it was like a shameful thing because people would think that it was gay, but he's worked through that shame, and it doesn't sound like she's actually stated that. But again, it sounds like there's not a lot of conversation in terms of why it's a thing for her, why she doesn't love the idea, or even like the idea, why it's a shaming thing. So it's like, good. Like, what about it? And then what's available? Okay, maybe like you don't have cum in your mouth and we make out, but is it okay if you have cum in your leg and I lick it off? Or there's different ways that you could play with it to see what is actually available there.
Are they into licking off their own cum? Is that what it is on their body?
He didn't say anything about his own body. He specifically said making out after a blowjob, licking cum off of her body, sucking the cum out of her body.
Swapping the cum between the mouths, which
cum.
is his own.
It sounds like that it's his cum when he comes in her mouth.
Yeah.
Which is like a very
or it's not just mouth though. It's all over everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
He wants to lick the cum all the places.
I wonder also if we could if they could play around with like female ejaculation and him demonstrate how hot it is to like have her fluids in his mouth.
Yeah.
And then try to like reverse it. I'd also really want to know like what is she really into, and then figure out a way from there how can you incorporate like jizz play into that, because let's say she's really into like I don't know, like strip teasing for him or something. If there's a way to work into like a role play. But you have to, I really think having a fun, playful night of yes, no, maybe that's not connected to this particular practice, but has many practices in it. And really exploring, and maybe from there, maybe you don't find out that she's like really interested in like this like jizz play, which I'm calling now, but more like what is she into that he may have not known. And once you start getting her open to how great it is to explore something she's into, he might not be able to and be into, and then like switch it a little bit. There's so much room. I mean, it's awesome that they've been together for 13 years? 11 years. And that there's something hot there he wants to explore with his partner. So I think there's just a lot of people's sexuality shut down after that much time. So like we should look at this as a benefit.
Yeah.
He like really does not want jizz in like her best friend's mouth or something.
Yeah,
like this would be a harder stretch.
Me and you. Yeah, me and you.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm really curious, and I think that when I've heard straight women talk about things they think that might be gay with their men, they talk about it in such a way that there's a fear. It's fear-based.
Yeah. Like, if we do this, then it will make him gay, or it will...
Yeah.
And there just could be the fear thing. There's also just like, okay, well, I'm just not that attracted to the idea of watching you eat your own cum, which is totally fine. And so that might mean that how unattracted are you? Is it to the point where, like, it's a deal breaker? Or is it to the point where, like, hey, it's not really my jam, but, like, I'm into it sometimes, because I know that you're into it. I'm not going to, like, throw up and run away.
Well, I think coming back to what you were talking about with the preference, I've had friends that wouldn't make out with... the dude that was going down on them after that they had eaten, their pussy. They would not make out with them. They didn't want their own pussy juices on their own mouth. It was like not one or two. It was several over the course of the years. And I was always surprised by that. I was like, really? You don't? Why? What's the problem?
I mean, it's a
preference.
I mean, also just like waking up the next morning and you get up and you're like, oh, I just smell my own vagina all over my face, which is definitely because of that person being down. And then all of a sudden it's all over me. I mean, that's just like super hot. But if this was my guy and he was into this and I have a feeling about jizz, I would really play with it. Be like, on my tits, on my thighs, lick it off as much as you want. But I would definitely, a hard no for the swapping of mouth stuff. I would be, And probably like on birthdays and special occasions, you could eat it out of my vagina.
Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
But I'm a giver, and I've been with somebody for almost 14 years now. So this is
happy birthday.
Truth to the happiness.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun. All right. Well, hopefully we answered some of your questions. And this is the other thing I would throw in. Lastly, is my opinion is like to share, because there's this, he's talking about how he'd rather masturbate on his own to the fantasy. He's getting resentful. These are things to share. Maybe not all the details, but like the resentment, at least, the parts of like how there's this part of you that you feel a strong calling to somehow exploring it in some way, shape, or form, that you feel that there's some shame there, or that that it's been shut down in a way that doesn't feel good, and that you're seeing yourself pulling away, and that the intention of the conversation is to bring more closeness. Because sometimes people get afraid, like, oh, they're saying I'm not good enough. But when we frame it as, I'm saying this because I want to be close to you and connected and share more with you, as opposed to like, you're not doing what I want and I'm disappointed, it can be a easier conversation to address.
That's good advice.
I do also say that I think that the way that he worded it suggested I'd rather just like watch porn or something. Go with
the fantasy,
Go with the fantasy. And to me, that he should be doing that anyways.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just rely on our partner for
to meet
sexual,
all those
nutrients or anything. We have to, because like his fantasy might be way more than she's ever willing to do. And so continue that practice, and that thing that's fulfilling to you is important. I wouldn't say I'd say in addition to,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But resentment is a true thing, because I think that all of us have been there with sex to resent partners around certain things when communication is shutting down.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to say this, but I'll say it anyway.
Say everything on here, minus people's names that did not give us permission.
I mean, I'm a big fan from time to time when in relationships to take some MDMA.
Yeah, you can say, totally say that.
Yeah, just like really, have that time with your partner where all that shit that builds up in us, and it's hard to get past. And I wouldn't say like, oh, have some alcohol and talk about it, because that's not the, kind of stimulant that works for that kind of process. But having, I can imagine getting down to the root of what's going on. It's a fast lane to get there. MDMA.
We're private labeling MDMA now. It's on the website.
Shameless MDMA.
Yeah, shameless MDMA. Yeah. It's MDMA therapy. Our new sponsor is Molly.
We're all going to prison. I know a good lawyer.
Right? We're going to be like, oh, no.
This podcast is made possible by Manscaped. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for you or your man's family jewels. Self-care is everything, and a well-trimmed bush is better than cologne. You can still enjoy the view, but with less obstruction. Enter Manscaped's electric trimmer, the Lawnmower 2.0, designed specifically for a man's below-the-belt grooming. I personally find grooming super sexy, and the Lawnmower 2.0 is fabulous at getting everything clean and pristine, just how I like it.
Let's talk about sweaty balls. I can tolerate some sweaty balls from time to time, but it certainly does not inspire me to bury my face in there. That's why Manscaped has the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. It will keep you fresh and dry just when you need it. Penis owners, it's time to step up your game. And to get you started, our listeners get 20% off and free shipping with code SHAMELESS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code SHAMELESS. Your bits will thank you for it. And now back to the show.
Okay, so question number 2. Are menstrual cups safe for athletes? I'm looking for a safer option than tampons, and I'm worried about menstrual cups agreeing with how physically active I am. Very simple question. Menstrual cups for athletes. You know a fair amount about menstrual cups. And I mean, I use menstrual cups too, so I know, but you actually know more like the kind of the creation of them through the Fun Cups.
And can I say how many I had to test as well when Fun Factory
because
was
we
developed?
were part of the test group.
Yes. And there was a lot out there, and Fun Factory made really good ones.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard. It's hard to be a vaginal tester. Sometimes you have to put your foot down and be like, I'm not testing anymore.
Yeah.
My vagina says no, not with the Fun Cups. However, so Fun Factory has Fun Cups, and what I love about them is it's a more organic shape that is like shaped to the vaginal canal. So it's a little more comfortable. Sometimes.
It's not like symmetrical. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a curve.
With a pokey thing at the bottom. But I have been using menstrual cups probably now, I don't know, probably going on 20 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And back in the day, they were like industrial size and painful and ugly. And now there's so many more options. And there's actually a website that I really love called Put a Cup in It. And they are these amazing people who know menstrual cups way more than anybody else I've ever met. And you can go on there and you can take a quiz. Because I have a million questions for this person. Like, what's your blood flow like?
Yeah.
Like, what are things that you do or don't like about
Do you have a tilted uterus?
Tilted uterus.
Because menstrual cups won't fit in my... Remember? I had to go to the doctor to get them removed.
Yeah. And you also had to have your
sister unplug it with a toothbrush.
Oh my gosh.
Insert a toothbrush.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And my nephew walked in during the insertion.
Yeah,
and he was 4 years old.
Yeah, you created a major fetish. I don't know what it is. We won't know until
probably years of therapy
fetish.
for him.
Yeah, you had some extreme cup things happening for you. But in general, I don't want to scare anybody because it has completely revolutionized my menstrual product, whatever.
Probably no one had my experience, honestly.
No, people have because tilted uterus.
Yes. I mean, so I think 25% of the population or something has a tilted uterus, which I don't like to give specific numbers, but I know it's right around there because I remember when I worked with Fun Factory.
It's not tiny. It's not like 3%. It's a good number.
Significant.
Yeah.
My words of advice with this is don't like use a menstrual cup and then go out and act like go do whatever they're doing physically the same day. Like that you have to get used to it, sometimes it takes like one whole cycle or maybe 2 cycles before you understand like how to create the suction inside. Safety is not an issue unless we're talking about tilted uterus. It can get jammed but you need to talk to your doctor if you have a tilted uterus. But other than that, there isn't a safety concern. It's actually way more safe than tampons and way more healthy for you. And I think that it holds more blood. So, if you're a heavy bleeder and you're having to change tampons often, like that tends to be really annoying when you are, I don't know, like let's say a server working a really long shift. You can't just be like dropping everything and going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Also, the smell from a tampon string, not gonna lie, is disgusting. Yeah. You're not disgusting. It disgusts me when I'm like, oh, it's like because it exits your body, so the bacteria enters like the oxygen. I think it's oxygenating the whatever the blood cells are. It just has a smell, and the menstrual cup totally prevents that from happening.
Yeah, I don't know about you all too. Like when once in a while I'll go. There are times that I will use tampons, and I think for anybody who's bleeding, having just like how I say with like lube, like you should have like many different kinds of lube and different kinds of sex toys available to you, just like with period gear.
Yeah.
Period gear.
I like it.
New word. So having different things available to you. So I really like tampons. Let's say if I'm going to like a festival, I don't want to deal with porta potties and menstrual cups.
Good point.
Not fun. I've dropped them in a porta potty before, and I only had that cup for me for the week.
If I go to Burning Man, there's no sinks anywhere.
Then you got that, and then you have. There's many different reasons on why I wouldn't use one, but I use them regularly. And if you're a person that experiences cramps, like my partner does, menstrual cups completely changed her relationship to her body. Yeah. And for folks who are maybe gender nonconforming, and the idea of tampons and strings and purchasing those things and having them at your house, it's much more discreet to have a cup. It's much more available to you, and I'm a big fan. And honestly, this is something that we're dealing with monthly, and for a very long time of our lives. So why not be, trying to find the right fit? So I would really recommend. I have no affiliation, but Put a Cup in It is a great resource, and there's more menstrual cups on the market than you might know.
Yeah,
but I do believe that Fun Cat Factory has some of the best, but there is not a one-size-fits-all approach.
And doesn't Fun Factory give a little bag, though? So if you are going out and it's not, it's antimicrobial.
In the box?
And there's 2 sizes.
That was
I was so happy. I read so many reviews. I don't even know, thousands it felt like. And I really argued that we should have an Explore kit, which, because a lot of people don't know their size, and the way that sizing happens in the menstrual cup industry is actually really inaccurate, because they're like, if you're over 30 or have a kid,
ridiculous.
You have a huge gaping hole out there, and so we got to plug it with the biggest thing you can find. It's just not true. I find menstrual cups, for me, smaller ones work on my light days, and I appreciate that, and then I need like a larger one. Like for Fun Cat Factory, I love the small one on my light days. I actually use Diva Cup on my heavy days, just because Fun Factory's larger cup isn't doesn't hold as much as I need for my like 1 or 2 day.
Okay.
And that one's more industrial, but that one irritates a lot of people too. So I think it just really depends on your body, and get a couple.
Yeah, try them out.
Yeah, and I think with Fun Factory, since we have the size A and B in our Explore kit, it lets people explore with what works best for them. And then there's also a antimicrobial bag. So clean it, throw it in there.
And then if you're going out, which was kind of, you brought that up because it can get a little bit trying to empty your cup, you could just have an extra one, throw that one, dump it into the toilet, throw it in, and clean it later, and clean the bag. And then for this listener who is an athlete, it might be good to just test it out go on a jog and test out the Fun Factory cups, maybe the 2 different sizes, or whichever cup you want to check out, and go on a run, because there could be leakage, or there could be something kind of undesirable that happens if you're practicing some heavy running or anything.
I never had issues. So I've had the hormonal IUD for the last year or something. I just got it out. So for the last year, I haven't really been bleeding at all. But before that, when I used a cup, menstrual cup, I never had any leakage from working out. Like, there was no exercise I did.
But this person's like an athlete. They might be doing some serious...
Yeah, it depends what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing necessarily, but...
I feel like you do like nice yoga poses.
I do hot Pilates and shit, bitch.
No,
come on.
Once the suction happens, I mean...
It stays.
I got leakage, and I run around.
I don't get leakage when I do things like hot Pilates.
I think it just depends on how your body is shaped.
Exactly. It's all different shapes. So I'm just saying, like, check it out, but don't think that just because you move that it's going to move, because it does suction and it hangs out. Another thing that I really like about them is I can see the blood. There's like the connection to it. Whereas tampons are kind of just like, all right, yeah, just throw it away, and they're
really bad for the environment and for your septic tank.
But I also,
whenever I go to your house, you're always like, do not throw your tampons in the toilet. I'm like, I don't.
Does that? Like, that is such a false.
I mean, I just say when I'm in places,
you'll throw in a toilet.
Not people's homes, but if
not
I'm
people's
like
homes,
I don't know,
a bar,
a restaurant.
Are you kidding me?
Why wouldn't you just put it in the garbage though?
Sometimes there won't be toilet paper, or I don't.
The trash cans are overflowing or something.
Yeah, or you can't like at an airport.
Dude,
sometimes I'm like, I'm
sorry,
not.
y'all. You still got to put it in the garbage.
I use a menstrual cup almost all the time.
It's rude to put your tampon in anyone's toilet.
Those industrial strength ones that are like that have the little metal, not the ones that flush for you. That they're like whoosh. The ones that are you're like gonna get sucked in. Those ones are fine.
Like the jet powered.
I almost get sucked in. Like it is fine.
This thing can handle it. Yeah. Maybe those crazy ones you feel like you might die because the suction is so intense. I like seeing it. I like knowing that it's not this shaming thing. I don't just throw it away and disregard it. I like being aware of what's happening. I like
put
seeing
it in
the
her
color.
plants.
I like seeing the consistency of it.
Mm-hmm. My friend put it in her plant. She said they were her plants completely just blew up and were in a short amount of time.
Yeah,
from her menstrual.
It's really
blood.
good for.
I thought that was amazing.
Plants. I think in general, like you're really you're less susceptible to STIs because you don't have the like little tears that can happen from tampons inside your vaginal canal. And
toxic shock syndrome too
there's been some studies about menstrual cups and toxic shock. Which
I think anything that you let hang out for a while, regardless of the material, because menstrual cups are all silicone for the most part, and so they're non-porous, but you can still have some old
the off gassing of your blood
of your own body. Yeah, the only thing it's producing.
Yeah, but because what happens is they work so well that some people will just leave it in for 24 hours. They don't hardly bleed at all. It's like you gotta remove that still. It's gonna get stinky. You don't want blood just hanging out.
Yeah, it's just kind of just molding
because
in your body.
Blood, yeah.
When they say it's 12 hours is your max, right? That's like the max of how long you should keep it in.
Yeah. Now the new thing is to the laws are changing because there was somebody who got toxic shock from menstrual cup, but it was more because of how long they put it in their body. So we just say talk to your doctor because you can't offer that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for me it's like you change it. Be careful on how often you're changing it. You don't want to overdo because then you're introducing all this bacteria into your body every time you put your fingers inside.
Oh, yeah.
Also, wash your hands before you put them in your vagina. Like sometimes you might forget that, especially if you're at home or something. You're like, I just been at home all day. It's fine. And then you're introducing a lot of bacteria, and you could easily get bacteria infections, which is never fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to try menstrual cups again. Who has their toothbrush handy, though? Who has their toothbrush just in case?
I don't want you to.
I know.
I was
it was
traumatized
three different times.
Three times?
Three different cups.
Oh,
so
no, yeah,
it was,
you can't. No.
It was a Diva
You're
cup.
out.
It was the one, that Femme cup, I think it's called, with the little circular hole. I still have it from the doctor removing it in a separate thing. And it was another one, too. I can't remember. And I was like, okay. And my gyno thought it was hilarious. And... I didn't, though.
Also,
of course you didn't.
Oral sex with menstrual cups.
It's
That's
way
great.
better.
It's just like in there, and then
there's no
put a finger
tampon
inside.
string.
It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I've even had fingers.
If you're a stripper,
Cut
don't
that
have to
shit.
worry about a tampon string, though. Tampon, no.
Tampon. I mean, I've even had fingers inside me with a menstrual cup.
Yeah, me too.
And it's like, I mean, I didn't know. I still got to feel a lot of pleasure. I still able to get to my G-spot through that too. So it was like, it didn't get in the way. But I mean, they could still feel some silicone.
They can still access the G-spot?
Yeah.
because they went like up and kind of under the cup. I mean, they can feel the silicone stuff, but they
Be
didn't
like a
care.
little squishy, like, and then a little blood comes out. That's what I
They also like blood, so that's cool.
Oh,
yeah.
really? That's
They're into
awesome.
that. Yeah, that all works out so well. So
right there.
but I also wasn't bleeding. Like, so I'm so happy to have this IUD out. It worked great for my body. But
You got the IUD out?
I got it out. Yeah, I got it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
First time seen as a vasectomy. So.
And you could wear a menstrual cup with your IUD. It was okay.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's
Although horror story, everyone, horror story. Once upon a time, with this same IUD, the hormonal one, I was in the shower. I had a menstrual cup in. It was the beginning phases of having the IUD, and I went in to take the cup out. Sometimes I would take it out in the shower and kind of dump the blood out in the shower and like clean it out. And as I was doing it, I had this insight of like, I wasn't trying to pull it out with a heavy suction, but I thought there's this thought of like, what if I actually, and I pulled it out and it totally pulled out the tip of my IUD.
Yes,
you
that can
saw
happen.
it? Or-
I
oh my
felt
God.
it and
Was
I
it
shoved
new?
it.
The IUD
Yeah, I'd
was
only
new?
had it for like 2 months, but
That's
I instantly shoved it back in, and I was bleeding more heavily for a couple days, and I was kind of crampy. But I went into the doctor. I was like, I'm fucked. And I went to the doctor, and they did an ultrasound. It went right back into place. Wow. It went right back in. It was like just fine. But it was kind of scary, everyone. So just be careful.
With IUDs, again, that is something you're supposed to talk to your doctor about. But from my knowledge and the research we've done at Fun Factory, although we don't take a hard stance on it because we can't, but the first, I think it's month or couple months to not use a menstrual cup because the IUD has the little string thing. It kind of it coils up after a period of time.
Yeah.
So it's not as like fragile, I guess, after a few months. So maybe
mine never coiled after even a year. They were just little sticks. I hated the IUD. I never, ever. Maybe my vagina is just really fucking.
It's a unicorn.
It's a unicorn.
It's something. I don't know. Maybe it's just really special because it's got all sorts of things.
Wonderful pussy.
Yeah.
You're so beautiful.
Thanks, pussy. I love you.
Okay, so I'm going to go into the next question. But before I do, Kristen, have you heard of Dipsy? Do you know about Dipsy?
Dipsy?
Dipsy. D-I-P-S-E-A. Dipsy.
Like I'm just going to dipsy it inside of you. It's like kind of just the tip?
Well, no. So it's an app. It's an app that you can have on your phone, and it's erotic short stories, and it's designed specifically for women to listen to it. And they have, isn't there rating these little fire signs?
Yes.
Like 3 signs, like super hot.
Yes.
And you'll be like, going to a bar and you have sex with 3 men in the bar or something like that.
Looking it up now.
It's awesome. We recommend it to our listeners, but also to my clients when I do my sex and relationship coaching practice for people who want to feel more desire, more connection to their body. They just want to get turned on whenever they want to. April
it's pretty hot to put it on at night, and it's geared for a lot of women. So it has this whole ability to just kind of turn the fire on. Hence the little fire signs.
Y'all, Dipsy is also the second Teletubby.
Oh, is it?
I just looked it up,
and that's what came up.
It's the green one, Dipsy. I don't know.
Well, D-I-P-S-E-A.
Oh, S-E-A. Okay, good.
Yeah.
D-I-P-S-E-A.
Yes.
And our listeners...
Yeah, our listeners get a 30-day free trial when you go to dipsystories.com/shameless. There's a 30-day free trial. Go to Dipsy, that's D-I-P-S-E-A stories.com/shameless.
So cute.
Yeah, and then you can see that. Then you can get turned on when you want to. A lot of people have an issue with like tapping, getting creative, tapping into their arousal. You can walk down, where are we on? Sunset Boulevard? Walk down Sunset Boulevard, listen to this hot story, get wet in your panties. Just for you.
I mean, half of the battle with getting horny is getting your mind turned on, right?
Yeah.
So
maybe this is something for the jizz guy.
Oh, jizz guy.
Yeah. No, but it's like preload some like stories that he thinks really hot, leave it out for his wife.
Check it out.
That happens with our listeners that ask questions. They end up being called the blank person. We're like, sorry about that.
We're not saying a shamey way.
No, in a good way. In a
loving,
awesome way.
I also, I think that there's some studies, this is, of course, not everyone, but that cis women tend to respond more to sounds rather than visual, and cis men to visual rather than sound. So I really think that this is made for women is awesome, and I'm going to listen to it and see what happens.
I'm 100% one of those people. I love seeing a hot body, but the words that body says, the things that come out of their mouth and the energy is like 10 times more. Like,
when I was in 4th grade, I used to go over to this girl's house that I loved because she was living with her single dad, and he had this stash of erotica under his bed, and we knew where it was, and I used to read it out loud, and I remember like my pussy pulsating when I was that young. I've never talked about that. It was really hot, and
I remember the first
it was
pussy
erotica
pulsate.
stash. It was totally.
I love you say that.
Yes, it was like a pussy pulsating thing. That's what horses' vulvas do when they're. I just saw this at a Netflix thing. When they're in heat, their vulvas pulsate.
What?
They actually like wink their vulvas, and that's what I feel like mine does. Vulva winking. I'm like, my vulva winks when I'm super hot, and I remember feeling my vulva wink, and I couldn't tell the girl.
Is this like you're talking about blood throbbing?
It's like throbbing, but the horses, you can actually see their vulvas winking.
I think that when my pussy's throbbing, if you actually looked at it, you could probably see it.
It winking?
Yeah.
Let's see. When
I have never,
let's listen to some Dipsy.
Put Dipsy on now.
I have never actually looked to see if. I mean, I obviously have looked at my vulva, but I've never really winking? Been like. Like testicles, how you touch it, they're like, whoa, It's like some very strange
creatures.
Where
do they go? They're in your body now. You have no balls now.
They're just like moving around. You touch it, it's like, oh.
Yeah. It's like
yeah, I think it's really interesting that vulva winking and throbbing, and I think that I think women need to, not just women, but people who are into like hearing about things to really explore that, because I think porn is so focused on visual.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's fine for me. It's not my thing though. So maybe this is my new thing. I'm going to report back.
Check it out.
If I turn off the sound, it doesn't get me as hot. I need the sound of and usually for me, and I will speak for myself, not that this is about me, I need the sound of, if there's the penis owner, usually I need the sound of their excitement to help get me going for whatever reason.
Lately, but this is like totally off topic, but you said the sound of the excitement. Like, I've been so into the orgasm. I'm not always attracted to like the sounds of my partner's orgasms. Like, and I'm not saying I'm not attracted, but it doesn't usually get me like super excited. And my current partner, I'm like, it's like the sexiest fucking thing ever.
It's pretty much all that can, and I only discovered that in this like the relationship that I've been in now for whatever 2.5 years, and because before I had a lot of silent sex, and I realized I need the sound of that. So I don't know, maybe it's something that you're tapping into. Maybe it's your mid-30s. Maybe that's what happens, right?
Yeah,
like, hey,
getting more juicy in my mid-30s. Well, I think there's also an alignment there too, because like there have been folks where their sound or like their O face was like,
Ooh,
definitely.
I hate when I'm with somebody and I don't like the way they sound and their face. Ooh, that's like, I always feel like,
that's a preference thing. It's preference and energetic connection.
It's true.
Totally.
There have been where you're like,
you're thinking you're smiling over there, you're like, I know what you're talking about.
I know, yeah.
And it's not shaming, it's preference. It still is like, that doesn't really drive me. For someone else, it will be their thing.
I have laughed one person that I had hooked up with
you laughed at them?
Not at them, at like the sound of it, because I was like, oh, I didn't expect that out of you. And it sounded totally different than I thought their orgasm sound would sound. And then I laughed not at them. They didn't know I was laughing. I laughed with enjoyment. But later I was like, wow, that was really funny to me.
You can't judge a book by its cover.
No, you cannot. Or by their coming. You can't judge a book by its coming.
You never know what you're going to get.
No.
All right, question number 3. I identify myself as a demisexual and therefore need a lot of emotional connection to be attracted to someone. If people don't know what demisexual is, I believe it's in the asexual category, but it's someone that connect or is attracted to people based on connection. It's not like physical attraction to someone necessarily. Like they need more of the connection thing to feel attracted.
Like an energetic exchange.
Yes, but the connection piece.
Asexual. I think maybe
not
I'm wrong,
asexual.
but
it's in the umbrella.
In the umbrella,
thing,
okay.
Yes. It's under the umbrella, but there's what is there? Demisexual, there's aromantic. There's like so many different little categories. I'm not a
so demisexual has to do with like it's not about any sort of
they don't
touching
just
or
look.
physical.
They don't. So people I think who are demisexual, and I could be wrong, but I think if they go into a room, they don't see attraction. Just like, oh, you're hot. April looks good. They have to connect to you, and then they feel attraction.
And it's not that they have to connect to you through touch either. It's just their exchange.
You have to have an emotional connection to feel, to be able to have an intimate relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Which, I mean, I would imagine a lot of people probably are like that, but they just force themselves into fitting into the,
Yeah, they just the cookie cutter idea. Yeah, there's just like connection, or you can describe yourself as a demisexual if that feels right to you. So they need a lot of emotional connection to feel attracted. I'm also very insecure with myself in many ways. One of which being that I'm a virgin and I don't really know what I'm actually doing when I'm intimate with someone. These two combined, I'm finding it really difficult to let myself be fully comfortable and excited with my boyfriend. A lot of the time, there's a great deal of anxiety attached to anything we do on my part. So my question, what can I be doing to work through my fear of sex? From being naked to being vulnerable, to just not being confident because of a lack of knowledge and experience. How do I distinguish my asexuality from the fear and insecurity?
Step 1, listen to Shameless Sex.
Yeah, there you
go.
You're
out here achieving things.
Yay! Yeah.
I mean, that's really interesting because I think that, like when I hear fear of sex, to me, like I'm like, what are you fearful of? Are you just fearful that because you don't have knowledge on it, knowledge of sex? And my other question would be like, how old is this person? Because like virginity is nothing to be ashamed of. I could see how it could be uncomfortable if you were in your 30s or something, and people are like, "You're a virgin." Like that kind of pressure, would feel uncomfortable.
Can I just say how much I love Kristen answers questions with questions like we always do.
Yeah.
We always answer questions
because not enough information.
We need more information. Totally,
Yeah.
we always do that. So listeners, hello. Sorry, we come back. But yes,
But these are questions they can ask themselves.
Yes.
Give me, like, here's your homework to get inquisitive about yourself.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, if this was my friend, I was hanging out with them, I probably would be like, you need to get your masturbation game down.
Yeah.
Like hardcore. Like be like almost so much that you can like put on a show and get paid for it, masturbation game, because then you're just connecting with yourself. Hopefully you love yourself. And then then you can feel confident at the very least. Maybe you don't know how to have like sex with somebody, but you can put on sex with yourself show, and no matter what, most people can't do that confidently, and then you become the superstar anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you could act the game. You could act the game like, I don't know. I mean, if I was a virgin nowadays and I had the knowledge I had, I would use that like in so many ways.
I'll use and abuse that shit right here. Hey.
And I know this is totally off topic, and I know this probably is not a fan with a lot of your listeners, but I was very fascinated by people who sell their virginity. And there is one...
Sell their virginity.
Yeah. Because I didn't get any money for mine. And it's valuable,
I got broken up with a week later.
And it wasn't even, like, pleasurable. I mean, it was loving and consensual, and it was fine. But at the end of the day, I think this young woman, I think, received $1 million for her virginity. Wow.
Did she get to choose who got it? Oh, there was just a price tag? Or?
She got to choose.
Did she get the money? Did she get the money, though? Or was
she got the money. She put, because I think there's a website or something where you put your virginity up for auction.
Okay. So this was consent. She consented. Okay.
No one's pimping her out.
And I've had many debates with a lot of my queer feminist friends and femmes.
Yeah, femmes.
Femmes.
All of the above.
All of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of, it's not a popular conversation, and I'm not on the majority side for sure. I'm like, no, she should. Like that $1 million. She's laughing all the way.
Kristen, that's so you. Totally so you.
If I could tell my younger self to go back in time,
you'd be like, so how much do you want for this pussy right here? I'm going to take a little bit of, but because, I mean, honestly, it's not like,
it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And hey.
Chances are that one-time thing's not going to be absolutely fabulous. It's going to be awkward.
Absolutely.
If you're a hymen vulva-owning human, it can be really uncomfortable. And I mean, and you're talking about someone who's actually making choices for themselves. I wonder if they get to see, images of the person. They get to connect with them and get a vibe for their energy.
All contracts. I think it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
contracts.
No choking.
No. If I have rules.
Yeah.
But in general, I think that virginity is something that you could turn to your advantage, in a lot of ways, especially if you are very confident, comfortable with yourself. And I know this person said they're not confident and comfortable being naked.
Yeah.
And I would really just recommend following a lot of different people who are comfortable in bodies maybe similar to them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a body issue or a...
Sounds like more experience and confidence.
At,
One thing that came up to me, so demisexual, you need connection, and you're saying you have a hard time getting excited with your boyfriend. Are you guys connecting? Are you taking a lot of time with your partner to connect before you go into the touch and the eroticism? And this reminds me of Jaya's erotic blueprints that we had an episode on. Jaya is amazing. I don't remember what number it is. Maybe I think it's 128. I could be wrong.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, she's incredible, and she has the erotic. It's called erotic blueprints, and she does. There's a quiz, and you can figure out what your top erotic blueprints are, and that everyone is different. And so there's different categories: there's sexual, sensual, kinky, shapeshifter, and energetic. So a demisexual is an energetic person. They're a connection, energy-based person. I don't identify as demisexual, but I'm a connection, energetic-based person. If I don't have those, I'm going to have a hard time getting excited about anyone I'm having sex with. I need those things to feel safe, connected. I want to feel cared for. I want to feel worshipped, adored, all the things. So I'm just wondering about this. Maybe it's just that there needs to be more connection building in your sexual experiences with your boyfriend, and then you'll be able to drop in more and feel more connected and comfortable.
I do really value the aspect of in knowing what you love, like when you're masturbating and being that self kind of sufficiency, which we've done before with our masturbation challenges, the May masturbation challenge, because unless you really can tap into your own self-pleasure, it's going to be really difficult to help your partner or the partners that you will experience in the future, whether you're going to, choose to have sex for the first time with them, penetrative sex. Obviously what you're doing is very sexual as well. It's just, it's best to just feel and tap into your own self-pleasure. I think that's a great recommendation, as Kristen was mentioning, because and the connective tool is really great too. I mean, that's
they're asking how they distinguish the asexual life from the fear and insecurity. There's nothing to be ashamed of for needing connection and that being what attracts you.
Oh,
to
so
someone.
they said asexual. They said asexual.
They use the
life.
word asexual, yeah.
Oh,
but so
okay,
they're
sorry,
curious,
I
like
didn't
how
know
do I separate the two? Am I just is my asexuality and this fear and insecurity? But if you're insecure about the fact that you need connection, that's what attracts you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's and I understand why we live in a culture that is like you should be turned on when you see a naked body and your pussy should be throbbing. That's bullshit. Everyone is different.
And guys can be douchebags too.
Totally.
I mean, a lot of people can, but like on top of it, if you are like a virgin and not confident, like people feed on that. And depending on the age range, I'm assuming early 20s. I don't know why I'm assuming that, but I'm assuming it. And that, like, there's a lot of pressure put on women during that time, straight women. And I think that maybe you should have sex with women.
Try it out.
Come on over to the other side.
Yeah, come on over to the dog.
It's very comfortable, a lot of talking.
I think if they're
very slow.
asexual, they definitely would think about exploring other options, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the asexuality piece is to me a little bit more. It's going to take a lot more exploring of what you're interested in and exploring the dynamics with other women and other maybe trans folks, exploring it all, non-binary folks. And maybe not sticking to just cis penis owners.
And I mean, there's another. If I had my virginity back, so long ago.
You lost it. It's going forever.
Kristen's like, I want that.
You're broken. I just want that $1 million.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, I mean, maybe I don't know. Yes, of course.
Did she really get $1 million?
Yeah. This was
American woman.
No, I think she was somewhere out of Europe. Huh.
I'm like very this is very.
Your hymen can grow back over time. So
Sweet.
like,
there's also they make those fake hymen kits that
Yes,
you can
do.
inject up into your.
Oh my God,
which I
that's
would
hilarious.
not. People would definitely know that I was
that's
not
too
a virgin.
much emphasis on virginity.
Yeah.
There, like it's.
My hymen never broke, by the way. Maybe it's my
mine did.
my
You were a
special ass
gymnast,
pussy
though, too.
and
You were
I did
doing
a lot of like pole work, but not that pole.
What kind of pole were you working?
It was the bars and also the pommel horse and the balance beam, which I did fall on my crotch a few times, and my bicycle.
You worked your hymen a long time
Yeah,
ago,
my
girl.
hymen was worked.
I mean, well, I think that. Let's just say this person is like taking this. I'm so into always taking the problem, making it a positive, and that. It is so sexy to be like, I have this thing that nobody's ever had. I'm very particular. And for somebody like me, that's a challenge. I'm like,
You're talking about the virginity.
Yeah, the virginity, and that, like, this person, it's hard for them to get aroused unless they have a connection. To me, if I like this person, this would be a fucking challenge. I'd be like, we're gonna have long,
I have
deep
so many
conversations
things
all
that I
night.
can say. Totally.
Like, we're gonna
my
be
God.
doing this, we're gonna be doing that, and then it becomes like super erotic. And I think just like loving yourself in that way to be like, this is so special and unique. It really is unique. It's not weird. It's just unique.
Depends how old they are. They could be 20. I don't really know.
That really comes back to Kristen's competitive side, though, right there.
Yeah.
She's all, wait, I want to meet this person and know that I can probably make you come at some point.
Oh, my gosh.
I will make you orgasm. It's totally Kristen's competitive nature.
But sorry, legend. I just
Legend
hit
dog. She woke
April's
him up.
dog. I think that in general, though, no, it's sexy. It's something to play with. Like, we're on this earth one time, maybe more. Who knows? But like in general, like it's yours. Like, why let somebody or culture to tell you how to utilize it, what you can do with it? Like, own it.
Yeah.
Make it sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand
You can do some
why.
power play with that shit, too. You do some hot power play.
Yeah. I mean, probably a lot of people might not believe her if she's like a masturbator, like a performer, and then she's like, I've never had sex. Like,
Yeah.
way too
So
confident.
you have
Way
8
too confident.
orgasms. Your fingers know what they're doing.
Yeah, but break the stereotypes.
I really would love to explore what psychologically is happening for the folks that actually pay for the virginity having, if you will. So why is that so important to them? And why is that such a piece? Because it's the unknown, but there's so many other, it's obviously PIV sex, right? Penis and vagina sex from what I'm experiencing. So why are those folks so why is that necessary for them, or that feels?
But look at all the porn that's like barely legal, and it's
the teen stuff. Yes.
Yeah, there's this whole idea that that's what's hot and the most erotic.
I've been
and
into
sexy.
stepdad porn lately, by the way.
Yeah,
I have always changed.
you're done with taxi porn. Now you're stepdad.
I'm done
You
with
had
taxi porn.
She used like
Yeah,
taxi
I can
porn.
see that.
British taxi porn. No, it wasn't. I didn't like the U.S. one.
She likes gangbangs too.
Yeah, you don't want like
No, I got over the gangbangs a little while ago. I'm more into the stepdad stuff. I don't know why I just brought that up, because I felt like you wanted to know.
Are you watching on Adult Time, the Netflix of porn?
Yes,
That's awesome.
I love that. Brie
Mills.
Brie Mills.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost said Brie Larson. Who is it? Like, isn't she a famous actress?
I hope it's not one of your friends that you
No,
just
it's
outed.
not. No, it's not.
Okay, so why do men want to do this? I do agree. It's a whole like fetish with like young, youthful, tight, whatever, all those things. But I also just think men are colonizers. Mm-hmm. There we are, patriarchy.
It runs deep.
It runs real deep, all the way to the.
To all of our listeners that hate on us when we talk about the patriarchy, we don't hate you. We don't hate men. We're just talking about a fucked up system.
We definitely are
We
not
hate
men
systems of
haters.
oppression.
It's a system.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
system.
and don't-
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
I'm
love-
just
I love me
wondering
some men.
psychologically. That was my whole, I guess, point for bringing that into consideration, because it's
Well, let's ask our
perplexing.
listeners. If anyone's into it, send us an email. Tell us why you're into it. And
Yeah.
we would
I
love to
also
know.
think you have awesome male list. Well, the people who are writing in, there's often times when I'm like listening to the questions. I'm like, oh, you guys have some cool ass dudes.
I
listening
really,
in.
our listeners are awesome. Like,
Yeah.
all of them,
Great
all of
listeners.
them. The people that really, I really. This is the perfect time to give you so much gratitude and love and appreciation. Thank you for listening and being you. I can't tell you how often Amy and I just discuss how amazing the people that are in this shameless sex revolution. You all are fabulous humans. So
Yeah.
I
And
love you.
I really don't like a lot of men, and I have to say, like 90% of the time that I listen to the men on your podcast, I'm like,
Yeah.
I think they're awesome.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Seriously,
They totally are.
doing the work. Everyone's doing the work. They're out there to just
Yeah.
improve their not only their sex lives, but their lives in general and their sexuality.
Okay, time for a quick break. This podcast is made possible by OMGYes.com. OMGYes is a research-based online program that teaches you all about how to pleasure the pussy. OMGYes studied thousands of vulva owners to find out how they orgasm and then made tasteful and inspiring short videos to show you techniques on how to pleasure yourself or another vulva. I've been recommending OMGYes to my clients for years and it's changed their lives.
So for all you vulva owners or vulva lovers out there who may already be having good orgasms and you want to take it to the next level, or perhaps you want to explore more variety in your playtime, OMGYes will have something just for you. With 2 seasons, one all about internal and the other all about external techniques, it's better than any book or DVD money can buy. To learn more, visit omgyes.com/shameless. Our listeners get $5 off. Check it out.
This podcast was also made possible by Uberlube. It's a luxurious silicone lubricant great for all kinds of sex. It's less likely to throw off the pH than most other lubes, and there are hundreds of doctors who recommend Uberlube to their patients, whether they want to make their hot sex even hotter or for folks who are experiencing dryness. You never knew lube could be this good.
So whether you're an avid lube lover or you've never used lube before, Uberlube is right for you. It has no flavor, no scent, and feels absolutely amazing on the body. Uberlube has endless uses. I use it to tame my hair frizzies, to prevent chafing, and I even put some in my mouth right before an oral sex session, and it totally ups my blowjob game. Oh, and the bottle, it's gorgeous. It's totally discreet and looks more like a beautiful cosmetic product, so you can even leave it on your nightstand shamelessly.
To learn why we think it's the best lube on the planet, check out uberlube.com. Use code shamelesssex and you get 10% off and free shipping. That's uberlube.com. Go check it out. And now back to the show.
So it's another kink. We got to end on a
Oh, it's the kink one.
yo.
Okay,
Let me drink some more for this
Yeah,
one.
take a
Okay.
sip of your wine. Oh, yeah, Margins Wine, too. Y'all, Margins Wine is back. We're big fans of Margins Wine. We still be drinking Margins Wine over here. If you go to marginswine.com, sign up for her newsletter. It is a woman-owned operation.
And the only reason we stopped actually talking about
was out.
Margins Wine, she didn't have wine. And because she only does 2 batches a year.
Yeah.
So we just met with her, and we absolutely adore Megan Bell. She's producing small batch wines, as Amy was saying. So check out marginswine.com, sign up for her mailing list, because
you find out
you
first.
get, yes,
because it sells out every time.
Exactly.
And if you use coupon code ShamelessSex10 on 3 bottles or more, you get 10% off. ShamelessSex15, 6 bottles or more, you get 15% off.
Yeah,
And
and
we're
then
drinking.
April and Amy get to have more wine to
Yes,
drink on the episode.
and then we get to drink more wine. We get to share it with Kristen, and
It's a nice, circle appreciation.
Ah,
Yeah.
everyone wins. All right, let's get to this last one on kink. I love this question. This is a question concerning a kink my boyfriend has and shared with me right from our first date. Awesome. Good job, boyfriend. We have been exclusive for over 2 years now. One of his kinks is he likes to wear female lingerie and explore his feminine side.
Love it.
Me too, totally into this. This is not exclusively sexual and can just be for relaxation or stress relief. Also does not interfere with his life or sex life, as he can go without it for extended periods of time. He has made me feel very comfortable and opening to exploring myself, and I have been more accepting of this kink than either of us ever thought I would be. But I find I had difficulty knowing he enjoys lounging on his own wearing female lingerie. How can I get over this? Also, how can we combine this into our role play? This is a great question, Kristen, she's so good at these. And for me to be more accepting, so I can turn it into an erotic experience together. One concern is he might look better than me in the lingerie. Yet my biggest concern is the possibility of this being a trans desire or being gay.
Right, which the fear of gay, which we had talked about earlier. So I was thinking that when this question
That
was
might be the
posed.
person's fear.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, no, we're talking about, this sounds like cross-dressing. This sounds like someone
yeah.
who enjoys wearing, just enjoys wearing clothing that is identified as feminine, or that traditionally you would say is in society would be like, oh, women wear that. And, but it's not something they have to have all the time. Doesn't sound trans to me, although we don't really know a lot about this person. Doesn't sound gay because they like having sex with you, it sounds like, unless y'all aren't having sex. Or like there isn't a connection there between the two of you, but it sounds like there is. So cross-dressing, I think a lot of people don't really know a lot about.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I'm like, oh God, going through my PC files. I'm like, can we say cross-dressing in certain ways anymore? I can't remember.
I know, is that...
I think we can. I think we still can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not
Cross-dressing,
positing.
because cross-dressing I would say there's the binary, right? There's masculine, feminine, man, woman attire and things like that. But I don't know if they've come up with another.
Because if I wear a bow tie tuxedo, is that considered cross-dressing?
But it's not. Well,
No, it's more gender bending.
that's gender bending.
maybe,
Yeah.
or something. I would
So
say
that I feel like isn't that more of a I don't know, cross-dressing seems like there's a negative association.
I think there's a lot of misunderstandings around how. One, we have to really speak to that gender performance is different than sexuality.
Yeah.
So, I know a lot of people who started dating and got married to, let's say, a cis man. He might be really interested in things like wearing women's clothes. It started coming out in certain ways, and then it came out that he actually wanted to transition to be a woman.
Yeah.
And still very attracted, then became a lesbian because is like, I'm very attracted to my female partner. So it was more about the gender performance and preference. So I think in this scenario, like that would be, I guess, the risk, if there is a risk. But if she is turned on by it and he decided to do it full time, to me, that's not a risk. It just means he's evolving into himself more, or evolving into maybe being a female. And I think all of those things can be awesome in just a road trip journey with a partner, and being supportive is so cool and awesome. But funny enough, when I dated men, I always say this, I love my men to be feminine, and I love my women to be masculine. So looking back on my very straight world life, a lot of the guys I dated, for some reason or another, they all ended up in my panties. I don't know why. Was it me? Was it them? I can't figure it out. Very, very masculine men. For me, it was more about, it was fun. They were like prancing around. It was fun. Like laughing, playfulness. Once in a while, it would turn into sex, but it wasn't as much that. And so to me, it was always normalized. I was like, what? Men don't do that?
Yeah.
What are you
What do
talking
you mean?
about?
Why not? Yeah.
Why are they not doing that? So the other thing that I think is interesting is that she's a little nervous that he might kind of take her. What I hear is that she's nervous that he might take her stage.
You might out-sexy her.
Yeah. And you know what? That for me, that totally resonates, because I know when I'm with a partner, like my partner, not somebody I'm fucking, but like a partner, I like to be the one on stage. I want to be the one in the pretty things. I want to be the one prancing around and getting the adoration and the love. I want to be the performer.
Yeah.
And if somebody was stealing my show, that'd be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
But that's your preference to be the performer too,
yeah,
right?
I want
like
that.
Some
Yeah.
people want less spotlight. Some people want more. Some people like want it to be equal. So
Yeah.
So is she saying like, I want to be in the spotlight. I want to be like the sexy one that identifies more so as this like sexy feminine role. And that sounds like a preference. Again, I love this. I'm also gauging this person's desire to be more accepting, this desire to incorporate and to actually honor their partner's
that's so
desires.
awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I'm like, I love this woman, and I kind of love your partner too. And I love that he told you in the first date, he's like, here I am, here's my cards. And this is, And I actually, part of me is like, do I know this person? Because there's someone I know that I went on, this is years ago, I went on 3 dates with this person. April and I have the rule of threes. The third date either shows you their compatibility or you're non-compatible, or 3 years.
3 years, 3
months.
weeks,
Yeah, 3
sometimes.
weeks. And so
sometimes 3 hours, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, you never the
Never know.
threes are a magical number.
threes are.
The current person I'm with, the third date, the first two, I was like, yeah, he's all right.
Well, I remember before you were going to go on the third date, I was like, here it is.
Yeah,
You make or break.
And on the third day, I was like, holy shit, you're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
This person I'm talking about, though, from years ago, the first 2 days, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this person's incredible. And then the third day, I was like, oh, yeah, no, we are very different. Just didn't jive. But anyways, within the first date, they had told me that they liked to wear lingerie and heels and wear fishnets sometimes. And they actually sent me some photos just from like the waist down of their legs in these ruffly booty shorts with fishnets and some heels. And I was like, fuck, your legs look good. Doesn't turn me on. Like, doesn't make me like want to fuck you. But I was like, you look beautiful in that. And I kind of appreciated them even more. I like that they told me right away that they were
openness
owning
is
it.
beautiful.
And it didn't sound like they'd always been able to own it that way, but it just was something that they really enjoyed experiencing, expressing, just felt really good for them. And I thought that was so beautiful that they owned it.
Well, there's also some high-powered boss-ass men that wear suits all the time that are wearing lingerie underneath. There's
they're
so
like a
many
nudist
cases.
all the rest of the
or
time.
Right. Or they have all of these closeted things that they don't want to expose because they have these profiles, right, of being a certain way. That movie Hustler. Did you see Hustler?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I loved it.
I know. I loved it
J-Lo's
too.
so sexy.
And it was really
Oh, yeah.
these folks that have these personas because they have to adhere to society's what we project as the norm or the expectations that your traditions put on you for whatever it is. And I have to say, I love wearing a power suit and not a skirt. And the gender bending thing is not a bad thing. And none of it is bad. And if you do want to tap in and go that direction of wearing a bra under your 3-piece suit, do it and see how it feels. If that shit sucks, like the bras, like I never
You're like,
wear
I don't
those.
want to, yeah.
Oh, I
But
don't
if
wear
you
that shit.
wear it, go ahead.
But like, what are those things called? The stockings with the garter
garters,
belt.
yeah.
Those things are kind of fun. I also don't think they're comfortable. And I'm like, if you want to wear that shit, go for it. I like some heels. Don't wear underwear. So if you want to wear some constricting thongs, I did that shit for a long time over that. So I respect that. Good for you. Wear that at work and walk around and try it out. It's not fun.
Well, what are your suggestions on how they can incorporate this into the role play together?
Ooh.
Okay, so if it's a issue with not feeling like you get to be the performer, I would make it into a performance. Like you bring some money, you throw some money, strip club performance, like right, and
So he walks in the outfit, but you're the one throwing the bills.
Yeah. Like, why doesn't she like do a little bit of role
Like,
play?
dance for me. I wanna see it.
maybe
Yeah.
put some lingerie out, like
Yeah.
demand some like changing of lingerie.
Cook me something in the kitchen.
Like do something, crawl around,
Yeah.
like perform through power.
Yeah.
I think would be really sexy.
That's hot.
Yeah, I'd be into that, and in general, there's so much to work with there. I mean, if I have to say, a lot of cis men that are into these kinds of things aren't accepted completely, I think, by a lot of women. I think a lot of women are very scared of it. I think men.
The question is, are they gay?
Feminine men is like not accepted at all in our society. Like being a queer woman, it is much more accepted in the world than being a queer man or trans person. So I am super I think this guy's super hot that he came to the date and said that. And it was just like, here's what I want. This is what I want to do. This is the thing I'm into. If you're not, like, he just weeded it out. Like, and it looks like she's into the ride. So play with the power. You could also play with the idea of saying, like, I feel a little, like, sad that I'm not going to be the one in the spotlight all the time. So therefore, I need you to be buying me some really sexy lingerie. And I need to be wearing it. And this is going to be my space. And make him do some really, like, service work while you, like... You most likely he'd be very into the idea of if you give him a lot of space, he's gonna give you a lot of space. So what is like almost like she could have whatever she wants.
Yeah.
With that card, not in a manipulative way, a sensual way, but in that way of like, you know, like if we're gonna do these things, and on some nights I need you to find like I want really hot lingerie. I want you to, dress me, bathe me, do whatever it is. I don't know. Yeah, I'm envious. I like it.
Yeah. And then maybe they could switch it up. So he
Yeah.
does one night of the sexy lingerie wearing, and then the strip teasing.
Yeah.
Bands that make her dance by
Yeah.
Juicy J. Great song.
Ooh, yeah, like putting together playlists.
Yeah.
Like, I
Playlist.
want you to dance. Like, you will be dancing to this music tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get to dictate.
That's super empowering for both parties,
And a
too.
fun fucking night.
Yeah.
Oh, I
and
love
just
fun
observing
nights.
the partner
Yeah.
in the attire to be like, okay, oh, yes.
And I just talk about how much more variety they have in their playtime too. Like y'all aren't living a dull life over there. There's like this new thing that is new for her, and that like there's more options on the menu now. Other
No
than like
offense
your
to penis
typical.
owners, but their normal like things aren't really that cute to wear. Like they're like
They don't have a lot of sexy options.
There's not a lot of sexy. So I don't blame him for going towards like the lace and the beautiful options that we have. I don't.
Yeah. Also, I think figuring out what his practices are and figuring out how you can insert yourself into it. So does he want to like show up looking like that, or does he want you to be part of the getting made up process? Because that could also be part of like the play of saying like, hey, I'm going to be the one putting on your makeup. I don't know if he does makeup, but like I'll be the one doing this tonight and that tonight, and then my expectation is of this of you, and really just making every step along the way like juicy, fun, and like a ritual. I mean, it is a ritual, right? What we put on our body, what we do, it's a ritual. And I always think for listeners out there, like if you want to have a long, sustaining sex life, like find some little ritual things. Maybe that for some people, like having like a really doesn't have to be expensive, but for me, very expensive, like heels that are not to be worn outside. They're to be worn only like inside, proper inside bedroom heels, and that something's going to go down when you come home and it's like laid out on the bed, like here are your sexy heels. Like that triggers the moment, like lets you drop into those moments you had before with that partner. Yeah. So, she could also say like, maybe I'm not into it all the time, but when I am, when I lay out some panties. So when you walk home.
Like, I'll invite it. Yeah. I'll invite. You can still wear it on your own and lounge in your couch in your sexy heels and lingerie, whenever you want to. But, when we come to play, I'll let you know and I'll lay it out. I'll make sure that I do that. I'm not just going to like only do it once a year, because I understand that this is something that you enjoy, but I kind of get to like have a little control there.
I
like that.
My partner is so masculine. I mean, both of you know him well.
I almost said his name. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, we edited out his name for those of you listening.
I forgot to edit. Y'all know
I've never done that, and I did it, and that's interesting to me. But
2.5 years, we've never used partners' first names on the air.
And but I did fall in love with him so deeply because he's this masculine man. And for those of you listening that know him out there, never shame him for this, because it's fucking makes him that much more fantastic. He loves when I put makeup on him.
Eyeliner.
The eyeliner.
He looked
I'll
good
do.
in
I
that.
can see totally.
that.
And
He
I'll-
really
and
good.
if you give that motherfucker a wig, because he's bald, and if you don't know, now you know he's
And he
bald.
likes well-manicured
And
nails.
He
He
likes
gets
well manicured, but when
pedicures.
he puts a wig on, and he is such a motherfucking boss in that shit. And I put makeup on him not all the time, like when we're ever going to an event or anything.
We were in LA
out.
last, you did.
And
Yeah.
totally.
And he
I
looked good.
will, and I'll put bronzer and eyeliner and mascara, and the wig only is for certain times, usually when we're playing any roles, or he rocks a wig. He misses hair, I think, so much. He loves hair.
yeah, that's
and
great.
that made me fall in love with him, because when we first met after we were in the Caribbean, when I was Amy's +1 to the wedding in the Caribbean, and I met him, I put makeup on him, and I fell in
The
love with him.
same day?
It was the
Same
day,
day, first
the day
date.
of the
Yeah.
wedding.
And
It was the day of the
also
wedding.
in the Caribbean.
the
In
wedding.
the Caribbean. Way too hot for makeup.
And I was putting on makeup, and he's like, "Hey, will
Eyeliner.
you do me?" And I was like, "Oh, you want me to do? Oh, sure." He would never fit into my clothes. It would be impossible.
That would be hilarious.
I mean, I would love it. I mean, I would totally love it. But
Oh my god, it's impossible.
It would be impossible.
He's so muscular,
Yeah.
and beefy.
And, But he also taps into some of that stuff where typical folks, traditional folks, might shame him for that. And I
those
say,
people.
fuck
Fuck
those
those
people. Let's not do that stuff. Let's be okay with.
Well, not put
with
people in the box. Of
The
just
world
having
is
to be
so
one
much
fucking
more
way.
fun. Like
Yeah.
we can have so much more fun if people weren't so uptight. And who cares? Like, don't do it if
Totally.
you're not into it. But how much fun is it to like I would love to see. I'm not saying his name. I would love to be like, put on that sexy outfit. You know,
Yeah.
like it's fun. You know, I think there's just like a fun thing to it to just like come play with your gender, play with the way that you approach things that are unexpected, and like we're here to laugh, we're here to have fun. I do believe that like why we're put on this earth to have pleasure, and pleasure in a consensual way, not in ways that aren't, but in this experience, there's so much room for it, and as long as you can just get rid of your fear, and believe me, I get it. Like I think if I came home and my man was like lounging, watching Netflix in like a thong, I'd be like, But that's
going
out
on?
of context,
Right,
you know?
right.
Like I wouldn't be into that.
Yeah.
But
Surprise!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, like,
Yeah.
You're like, why didn't you tell me you were into that? I would have totally
Yeah.
been so excited.
like,
Yeah.
or I would need a set up. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
like casual. I don't think personally I would be into like casual lingerie wearing of my masculine person I fell for because I like masculinity or something. But I'd be really down with playing with it.
Yeah.
But it have to be under like a context, and I think it's okay for us to have like boundaries around that. And he might just be like, tonight's a Netflix and chill and lingerie night, so don't come over if you don't like it, you know?
Because I'm doing it. 'Cause it feels good.
Yeah, I'm be looking through my Victoria's Secret catalog, so
Yeah.
I'll be circling some things. I also think that too, like circle things in catalogs that you think might be kind of hot and sexy, and just kind of leave it out. I'm really a big fan of
That's a great idea.
leaving those
I
like
love
little
that.
traces and gifts around that doesn't have to do with you have to like if you're uncomfortable with an exchange when the person's in the room, sometimes that can be intimidating. But maybe you're comfortable and confident alone, and like leaving those things, it just helps reinforce that they shouldn't be scared either to share with you. Because once you start like making them feel uncomfortable with her sharing, they're going to start not sharing a lot of things, and that goes down the wrong
they bottle it
road.
up. Oh, I just had a thought too. Just last note on this one. What if they were the same size? And they could be like this shared experience of buying these things together and like this. So, there's maybe not competition who wore it better, but it's like there's like a collaboration in it that could be fun. Which people
Or what if they're different sizes? They could go shopping together and buy two different sizes.
Twinning.
Yes, that could be kind of cool.
I think my rule, if I was dating somebody who was masculine and wanted to wear once in a while, like feminine clothes, I'd be like, don't ever get in my closet.
Get out.
No, I really would be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I feel like I could never date a femme. I really like masculine women. And I always think, can I date a femme? Like femmes are so hot, and I think there'd be just too. I don't know if I'd like that constant.
I disagree
share.
with this
Yeah.
because Kristen, you and I used to share the shit out of each other's clothes.
No,
and
I
it was
love
so
that.
convenient.
I
Like
love
doubled
that.
our closet.
It was great 'cause
Two
we had the
all aren't fucking.
Yes.
So
We had the
different.
same shoe size.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you double your
so
closets.
great.
And I've thought about that before. I'm like, if Kristen and I were together, I'd have double the clothes. She's got great taste and
So many shoes.
yes,
It-
and double the shit.
it could work out. But what if? Yeah, but like, what if you come home and you're like,
Oh, bitch, I needed that jacket
yes,
and you
yeah,
were in it.
Yeah, and you got.
I'd be mad.
Yeah, see
I'd be like,
Or
I
you
needed
look,
that.
you look better in that jacket than me.
that or that.
Well, this also happens, but then I'm also like, awesome, you should have that.
I
You're
just
not
wanna
a
say that
spotlight girl.
You've done that with me with clothes, and I've done that with you
Yeah.
with clothes. I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, you look so good at that. You need it. You need that. I've done that with you with clothes. A dress that is now your favorite, I gave to you because I'm like,
Sure,
you
I
look
love
better
that
in
dress.
that than I do. I'm like, you need that. Take it.
I
'cause
think
it's long.
balls. I really want to say that
it's long.
balls are going to
Yeah, and I'm
stretch out.
long.
Balls are going to stretch out places that my vulva can't.
Okay,
Balls
this
are
is
gonna
true.
do something. Yeah, that's
Yes.
true.
If they're stretching out your clothes, that's a whole different matter.
There are lingerie companies, and I was dying. I was like, I wish I had pulled this up, and I knew about this before. But there are lingerie companies that specifically have sizes for male-bodied people.
Yeah,
That's
they like
awesome.
lace underwear.
Yeah.
Shoe
too,
companies as well. I know there are some
Yeah.
shoe companies that
Yeah.
make high-heeled shoes that
For
do
large
for
feet?
size
Yeah.
10 to 13 that will.
Yeah.
I can't remember either.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for these people. I want updates. Do your listeners ever come back with updates.
Not often, but I would love that. We do have people who will say things. Usually it's like a first time sex question that like, oh, I listened to this and I applied it to my sex life and here's how it's changed and here's my new question. But yeah, no, we would love updates. So yeah, let us know how it goes. One thing we didn't mention earlier before we close out, we talked about the Fun Factory menstrual cups. We have them at Pure Pleasure. You can go to purepleasureshop.com. Use coupon code ShamelessSex. You get 15% off, and we don't have any cross-dressing, or we're not using. Do we know of that for sure?
We'll have to get back to
Gender
you.
bending.
I feel like it might like PC, like what is alarm was going off. Like, oh, should we be saying this? We're going to be like canceled or something.
I like the gender bending. I love that term because I think it sounds really cool, but that's just personal preference. So whatever. Because cross sounds. I don't know. It sounds like someone's trying to. It's like not okay. It's a cross.
A fun word that's being used a lot is gender fucking. So it's just like
cool.
in a fun way. I mean, use your words that make sense.
And that's not shaming.
And anyway, I'll say the individual can decide how they want to identify.
And you weren't shaming anyone by saying cross-dressing, so that's okay. It's not like you're out here saying anything's wrong. You were
the people
just
I know,
identifying.
like the men that I know that do like to wear lingerie that is typically more femme, they don't call them. The people I know, they don't actually call themselves cross-dressers. They say, I just like to wear women's lingerie.
Yeah.
So they don't actually take on. The people I know, they haven't taken on a label. They're just like, I like this thing. So you can decide whatever label you want. If I put a label on you, I'm sorry about that. And for the people that listen to our podcast that do not like our political correctness, because we get this feedback, just saw it on a survey form. Sorry, but we got to do it.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, it's important for people to know out there, and we want to be careful and love and put out love and know that we are trying to honor all the folks, no matter how you identify and who you are out there. We love you, Kristen.
I love most of you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I love all of you. I love everybody who's interested in developing their sexuality and being consensual. And yay! So shameless.
Well, we love having you back.
We'll
have you again. Oh, we'll record in Germany.
We'll record in Germany. That's not until October, though. It's only January.
We'll record in July.
We'll record in July.
Can we please, when we're in Germany next time, get some Germans to
come to the room
to talk to they're like ass-licking?
We'll be like, can you come to our room and record podcast Shameless Sex? They'll be like, Shameless Sex? Yeah, do I get to fuck you?
Do I get to lick the ass?
Fuck you shamelessly? I'm like, no, that's not how it's working. We'll think about it.
I think we can collect some Germans.
We know some Germans. We're in Germany.
Like, do you go straight to ass licking when you bring someone back to your room?
I would love to have like one. I have a few Germans on my team. I think would do it. It is like could come to the room.
Be anonymous still.
Fine. It's good.
All right.
Good. Great.
Well, everyone, stay tuned for the future of Shameless Sex because we will see you next Tuesday, y'all. We love you. Remember, you are part of the Shameless Sex revolution. Ciao for now. Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.